Hi guys, it's Jessie, and today I am bringing you a brown butter banana bread that's made with self-rising flour. I know that might not seem like a big deal, but when I went to visit my brother in Denver, I was going to make something for them, and we were in the grocery store, and I said, well, let's just grab a bag of self-rising flour. And he looked at me like I was crazy and said, what? How do you know a bag of self-rising flour? And he said, I don't think that exists, which completely blew my mind, because I keep both self-rising and all-purpose flour in my kitchen. Sure enough, we went to the grocery store and I could not find a package of self-rising flour. It was all-purpose flour. The only self-rising flour we did find was in a huge container, and I didn't need but a cup of it. So we wound up not buying it, and I just made my recipe with all-purpose flour. So for that reason, this is for all you guys that have never heard of self-rising flour or you don't use it. You don't have to add any of your leavening agents. They're already built in. So this recipe is even easier. And now on to the main star of this banana bread recipe, the brown butter. We're gonna take 1 stick of butter. We're gonna put it into a pot and we're gonna put it on the stove and we're gonna whisk it until it starts to develop some color. It gets foamy and bubbly on top and then it starts to turn brown and you're gonna smell it. It smells nutty, it smells heavenly, and it's gonna add an amazing flavor to our banana bread. So I just have my stick of butter in a pot and I'm gonna put it on the stove over like medium to medium high heat. It's just starting to melt and it's gonna take just a couple of minutes for this to turn into brown butter. And if you've never made brown butter before, let me just tell you that you're missing out, okay? It's not just for sweets or baking or desserts, but a brown butter sage pasta is so fancy and so delicious. And it's super easy. It's just 2 ingredients. You brown the butter, you throw in some sage, a little salt, ready to go. It's ready to be poured over your pasta. I'm gonna go through and show you the different stages of brown butter. So right here, it's just melted and it's over kind of high heat. And I was whisking it and then I gave it a minute to just sit there and cook and develop flavor. Then you can see it start to get kind of foamy on top, and then it gets really foamy and it starts to turn brown, and this is when it's ready. I've gotten the brown butter exactly where I want it because you want to make sure that you don't burn it. And now I'm just going to let it cool in a separate container in the fridge for about 10 minutes while we move on and mix the rest of our ingredients. Okay, the next thing we're gonna do is mash ripe bananas straight into our bowl. I am such a fan of banana bread, and specifically I like to add walnuts to mine. I'm not gonna add it to this one because so many people are very particular about having nuts in their desserts, but I love a banana walnut bread. But I don't make it often enough, but I love it. I want to take this moment to tell you something important. We're going to use 4 bananas instead of 3 and make sure they are super ripe, like overripe, dark brown, and super sweet. Now that we have our bananas in our mixing bowl, we're going to take a large fork and mash them up really well. Now, I don't know why I have this massive fork in my kitchen, but it comes in handy for tasks like this. We don't just need ripe bananas for the sweetness, we also need it for the texture. If your bananas are not ripe enough like mine here, it is very hard to get them squished up properly. Okay, now that we have all of our bananas mashed up in our mixing bowl, it's time to add our other ingredients. And the first thing we're gonna add are 3 eggs. That's why I'm wearing an apron today. And after we got our eggs in there, we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of vanilla. Just like that. I'm gonna add white granulated sugar. Along with the white sugar, we're also gonna add half a cup of brown sugar, but you can't see it on the video. Half a teaspoon of salt. And then we're gonna give this a good mix. Okay, now I'm still waiting on the brown butter to cool down, so I'm going to get my loaf pan ready with some parchment paper. What I like to do is spread a little bit of butter on my loaf pan so that the parchment paper sticks. And I like to use scissors to cut my parchment paper to the size of my loaf pan. It just makes life easier. Actually, I may not have to use my scissors at all. Yeah, I'm going to trim off the excess. And now my loaf pan is ready, and I also think the brown butter is ready too. Now we are going to add the cooled brown butter to our mixture slowly because there are eggs in here, and I just want to make sure that we don't make scrambled eggs. So we're kind of tempering it. We did let it sit in the fridge to help out with this. But I mean, it is still warm to the touch. It smells divine. This brown butter smells amazing. If you've never made brown butter, you have to do this. It makes all the difference in your recipe because it adds a level of flavor, a dimension, a depth of flavor that you can't get from anything else. Okay, the brown butter is all combined, and the last thing I'm going to add to this is 2 cups of self-rising flour. And I'm going to mix that until it just comes together. I don't want to over mix it because that would give me a tough banana bread. And then we're going to pop it in the oven. So there's 1, 2, 3. So I'm just going to mix this until it is combined, and I'm going to try not to sling flour everywhere like I've been doing. Like that. This smells so good, you guys. Okay, the banana bread has just come together. I am not over mixing this. And I am going to pour it straight into our loaf pan. Oh my word. Oh my goodness. All right, I'm gonna make sure this is all settled in there nicely. This is going in a 350-degree oven for about 50 to 55 minutes, and then it'll be time to eat. Okay, our banana bread is ready to take out of the oven. Let me show you. Have you seen anything more beautiful in your life? I don't think so. I'm going to take it out and put it on a cooling rack before I slice it. Here's my little cooling rack. It's perfect for 1 loaf of bread, and I'm just going to carefully remove it by pulling on the parchment paper. That is one reason why we use parchment paper. And it's hot, but I'm just gonna try to remove that carefully. Just like that. Oh my goodness, guys. This looks and smells amazing. I'm gonna let it cool for just a minute. I'm ready to slice into my brown butter banana bread and give it a taste. Oh my word, look how moist and delicious. Here we go. This is amazing. All you need to add on it is a slather of melted butter. You have to make it. You have to.